Best of R slash entitled parents episode 30. Whoop whoop. Time for a Karen story. This one wasn't as bad as some that I've read on here. No bystanders were involved. Alrighty. Here's the cast. Me, Sugargrass's friend, we'll call her E. Friend, we'll call her G. EM, entitled mom. SK, shy kid, he seemed nice. This happened about a year ago, when I was in 8th grade. Backstory, I am type 1 diabetic, which is an autoimmune disease, meaning that my immune system attacked something it wasn't supposed to. In my case, it attacked my pancreas, and now I cannot make insulin to turn sugar into energy, which can cause high or low blood sugars. My friends and I decided to go to a local grease spoon in our town. It was near our school, so we walked there. Greasy spoons usually have a lot of carb-y things, so I was prepared with my insulin needle and finger pricker. I decided to order lots of carbs. I got a milkshake and some fries. Fries are about 40 grams and milkshake was about 70. This called for lots of insulin, so I took my blood sugar. There weren't that many people, but there was a mother and child across the aisle. I pricked my finger. Gladly she didn't notice that part. Next, I take out my vial of insulin and my needle and start preparing it. She sees this, and just watched me for a little bit. Once I'm about to inject into my stomach area, she gets up and stomps her way over. Excuse me. Me, yes, I didn't inject yet. I didn't want her to see it so closely. We're in public. Why are you doing drugs here? My son is over there. Oh, darn it. This hasn't happened before. Usually people just stare at me. Me, it's not. I saw the needle. She's visibly angry. She needs it in order to eat her food. No, she doesn't. At this point, I just wanted to ignore her. We hear our order number, so G, who was too shy to say anything, goes up and gets our food. Me, can you go away? Our food is ready and I need to prepare for it. She noticed my vial of insulin. What is that? Me, you can read the label if you want. It's my insulin. I was trying my best not to explode at her. Let Emmy read it. I hold up the vial to let her read. I see that she calms down. She must know what insulin was, even though I told her that it was insulin. Guess you can't trust middle schoolers. Walks away, and probably went to demand a refund on the poor cashier. The SK was just sitting at his table, looking a little embarrassed. I finish with my diabetes stuff, and eat my delicious food. I have a pump and Dexcom now, so I'll probably get less weird looks, except when they beep. While I was typing this, my dad came over to me and told me that they're making a nasal glucagon spray. Way better than the long needle. TL. Dr. Mother claims that I'm doing drugs in public. It was just my insulin. Thank you. Next. Hello Reddit. Finally got enough karma to post this. Background and info. Last week this event happened. Is my aunt and NK is nice kid. Cast, NK, my mom, M, and me. This happened a week ago, and I am still pissed off because the nerve of that female dog. This is how it happened. My family were having a reunion. We do this every damn month, and EM comes in with her 2 kids, both nice kids and both female gamers. We eat dinner and NK1 and 2 get bored, so they go to my office to play on my Switch, and NK1 asked if she could play Roblox or Minecraft and I said sure, which one? NK1 says you pick. So I load up Minecraft on creative to let her play. Here's the action. Me, hey NK2, do you wanna play with NK1? NK2, yes please EM. What the absolute fuck are you doing with my children? Me, what? EM, you know they only are allowed to play on the Switch. Me, well I am letting them use my computers, laptop and desktop. EM, no give me those. Me, no EM. NK1 and 2 grab those computers. NK1 and 2, yes mom. I was screaming from my bathroom so I didn't hear her say put them in the car, but I heard yes mom. 5 minutes later. Sorry we have to get going. Me, where's my computers? What computers? Runs out me, chasing her. I can see the cords hanging out the door. NK1 and 2. Take your mom's keys please and toss them here. NK1 nods, give me my computer. No. Apparently she had 2 keys on her and she got away. I'm currently trying to get the computers and monitors back. TLDR. EM lies about stealing PC then runs away with it. Thank you. Next. This is very difficult for me to write but I have to get it out since it has now reached a point where I feel like it's destroyed me. Backstory. My mother has had multiple points of trauma in her life. This includes a family member sexually assaulting her in the worst way at a young age, and her first boyfriend repeating this not many years after. No one in the family believed her either time it happened. I'm hoping it was this and not that they implied it was her fault. After this she dropped out of school, got pregnant with me during a one-night stand, then experimented with different drugs, the most prominent being meth. After this, more trauma occurred when she got into a very near fatal car crash sustaining multiple head injuries. This accident happened when I was 10 and I was living with my grandparents. When my grandmother died I had a big decision my 26-year-old brain had to make. Do I take over the mortgage of her house or do I let the mortgage lender take possession of it? I knew what my mom wanted. She didn't hide it well. And I also hated to leave the house I spent a majority of my childhood in the state that my mother and grandmother had left it in. This was the beginning of the end. During the process of refinancing the mortgage, my mother insisted that her name be kept on the deed. Not the mortgage. Just the deed. I questioned this. Then questioned it again when the new lender I had chosen made a comment that this was unusual. But I shrugged it off. I had more important stuff to worry about, like making the house actually habitable. Unfortunately, something goes wrong with my grandmother's life insurance and I only get 1/4 of what I'm supposed to. This did not happen to my mother, although she did spend a large chunk on funeral expenses. Whatever, I think, I have money in my savings. So I force my so to come with me, roll up my sleeves and get to work on the house. There is pet damage in 90% of this house. So new carpets, new linoleum in the kitchen, new paint on every wall, a new well, new fridge, new washing machine, new toilet. Keep in mind when I say new I mean bought at thrift or restores as often as possible. I even found a warehouse to buy the carpet discount and a friend to help teach me how to install it. I repaired electrical outlets, holes in the walls, gutters, and the riding lawn mower that was in the garage. I worked hard to create an environment that I could be proud to call home. Then it happened. When my mom moved into her house, she immediately spent hundreds of dollars on brand new furniture for her dining and living room. I scolded her a bit, telling her how I was paying a fraction of what she was by going to thrift stores. She gave me excuses such as they don't have any in her area, 30 minutes away, or how she wanted her house to feel like a home. I just shook my head and said I thought it was a bad move. After her GF moved out, my mom had to get roommates quick and ended up with one who would scream at her in the middle of the night while she was asleep, waking her up in a terror, and another who would lock her cat outside at night in the winter. While still grieving the loss of my grandmother, she kicked them out. Now however, she can't afford her mortgage, and so I start paying our cell phone bill. I'm a little miffed because this means I'll be paying off a phone that was supposed to be my Christmas present. My mom did one of those free with a 2-year contract and blah $sign a month. For some reason a bill that begins at $100 a month quickly grows to $250. I eventually get the information to access the account online and I find out that she's added a third line for a friend who needed a phone. I asked why she didn't give me a heads up, let alone ask since I was the one paying now. She responded with a simple sorry I forgot. Because I wasn't an authorized user, I couldn't remove the third line and my mom continued to forget until I just stopped paying the bill. Time passes, and she starts asking me for grocery money. The first time, I give her a small sum and tell her she needs to get a better job. She doesn't want to because she's working at a university and will get a discount there if she ever decided to go back to school. Coming from someone who, remember, didn't even finish high school. She continues to ask me for money every other month or so until she finally gets a better job. Then her pipes start to leak, and her house gets infested with fleas, and her cat dies. So I start to help out again, until I notice something odd when checking my account balances. She took $300 from me without asking. That's stealing. After everything I've done she stole $300 from me. Sigh. I confront her about on one of her visits as she's leaving. She says she was going to tell me that day, even though she hadn't, and that she was sorry and that she wouldn't do it again. I told her I knew she wasn't going to because I changed all my information. She cried and said she was sorry that I had to do that, but she understood. It was less than a month before she was asking for money to help finish working on her pipes. I gave it to her. Then my car started breaking down. I'd had it for 12 years and a friend found a better car for only $1,000 more than the repairs would have been. So I buy it with a pretty modest auto loan to cover what I can't afford. The thing is, after this, I tell my mom I have less than $100 in my savings and I can't help her anymore. At all. Now I had a little less than $500, but honestly she had no right to know that. So what does she say when I tell her this? Why would you buy a car when you can't afford it? I tell her I could afford, I just can't afford to give her money anymore. That I needed a new car and it would have cost me just as much to get repairs on my old car since I wouldn't have been able to get a loan for that. So this is when it finally sinks in that I'm not going to be giving my mom any more money. 4 more months pass and she can no longer afford to pay for home internet or keep up with her mortgage. I can't tell her physical and mental health are starting to deteriorate and feeling somewhat responsible. Her depression and negativity start seeping into me, and I, for whatever reason, stop taking my antidepressants and start smoking an ungodly amount of marijuana. Does anyone remember that part about my mother demanding that her name be kept on the deed? I sure didn't. Not until I'm ranting to a friend who terrifyingly points out that if my mother defaults on her mortgage, they can use my house as collateral. They can attach what she owes to my property. I start to panic. As in, I have a panic attack that lasts for 4 hours. My friend freaks out and takes me to the ER because I started hyperventilating to the point where I could barely speak. And in case you were wondering, I don't have health insurance. Great. I try talking to my mom multiple times about taking her name off the deed. I tell her she doesn't need it to be able to live there. I tell her she's shown she has a history of making bad financial decisions. I finally tell her if she doesn't she could lose both houses. But she refuses. Gods know why, but she refuses again and again and again. Not only refusing, but feeling disrespected and attacked, believing she has a right to this house and that I'm trying to take what little she has left of what my grandmother left behind. Saying that I'm trying to hold power over her, or lock her out of my life or something else along those lines. I am in full panic mode now. I can't do anything without her permission if her name is on the deed. I dropped 20 pounds in 3 weeks, starting at 130 lbs, and start to become suicidal. I almost end up in the ER a second time. My sew and roommate eventually convince me to start taking my antidepressants again and things get a little better after that. I gain back some of the weight I lost and the suicidal thoughts become less frequent and less intense. Once I start thinking a little more clearly I start talking to lawyers about my situation. It takes me 2 weeks and 3 lawyers to find one that says he knows how to help, but that if my mother is going to be uncooperative it's almost certainly going to court, which will make the price spike dramatically. I can't afford that, so he suggests if the worst were to happen, it would be in my best interest to declare bankruptcy, so I ask my roommate to help me talk to my mom. One last time. I tell my mom that I've been talking to lawyers. Tell her again that she could lose 2 houses if she didn't remove her name. Tell her it could result in my bankruptcy. No. She won't remove her name. She starts crying in despair and anger. I shouldn't be blaming everything bad in my life on her, she says. There are things more important than money, she says. And why do I keep attacking her like this? She asks. So I finally concede. The only thing I would feel comfortable doing that would keep her name on the deed and allow us to keep this house is if she sold her current house for as much as she could muster, and then take over the mortgage I had been paying off. I would take my name off anything connected to her or this house, and walk away. Walk away from a home I had created after 4 years of work and over $5,000 invested in repairs alone. I don't even know what more to say at this point. Thank God I have people in my life who love me, because after all this is done, my mom will have lost the last person she had. TL. Doctor, after taking some brain damage, my mom couldn't handle the death of her parents, ruined herself financially, expected me to fix it, and made sure I had to by keeping her name on the deed to a house I had inherited. Edit. Thank you all for the support and advice, even if some of it was kinda harsh. It had reinforced the idea that I'm not a terrible daughter for starting to take legal action and cutting her off. I will be taking the advice and talking to my lawyer to see about the options given here, and will post an update after. We'll also probably post to r/legal advice. Thank you. Next. I have worked in 3 different movie theaters in my life, and this is by far the most insane person I have ever met. This will be a long story, so I'll include a TLDR at the bottom. These are a few important parts for this story. The first one is at our theater. There were 4 sizes of popcorn: small, medium, large, and our specialty size that we sold called popcorn tubs, or just tubs to us. It was a plastic bucket with a handle for kids with a movie logo or design on the side. They were used to advertise big new movies and events coming to the theater, and were only $1 more than our large popcorn. At the time, we just finished screening the DreamWorks movie Trolls with Justin Timberlake and Anna Kendrick last week. The second part is once a movie leaves the theater, we turn any leftover tubs of that movie into carriers for chemicals and other miscellaneous parts in the theater. It had a handle, and were cheap for us, so we didn't mind if they broke. We also cleaned them with bleach before we converted them into our carrying tubs, for hygiene purposes. The third part is the theater that this happened at is a higher end place in a good part of town. We have nice seats, a good bar, convenient location to a lot of cities, and therefore we have higher prices for the tickets and food. This will play into the story later. We normally don't see a lot of angry people, as the higher prices typically brings in higher end clientele. The fourth and final part is normally we would have an off-duty cop or 2 to help us on busy days and weekends to help keep the peace when it was busy. They wore the full uniform when they worked for us, which included the handcuffs, a taser, and a gun. They never needed to use it, and it was only there for protection. They were always super cool and laid back, and for helping us out we would give them free food and drinks, and free movies when we weren't busy. When the incident I'm about to tell you happened, we had 2 cops on duty. Both were built like tanks. One is an ex-Marine, and the other has been with our theater helping us for years. This will be important for later. On to the story. EM equals entitled mom. AK equals apologetic kid. MA equals manager. Me equals me. It is December 2016. Rogue One, a Star Wars story, just came out last week, and my theater is insanely busy. Normally, for a weekend, we would do anywhere from 2,000 to 4,000 people. This Saturday alone had almost 10,000 people, and we were stretched thin when it came to the staff. At the time, I worked in the concession stand, and helped clean busy theaters when they finished. I was in the concession stand at the time for our busiest time of the night, the 7 p.m. rush. There was 9 of us in the concession stand, myself included, 1 manager on duty, and several hundred people in front of us. There was a lot of families with kids wanting to see Star Wars, and we were offering a Star Wars tub in the concession stand. We were told to sell them, because it was a lot of popcorn that the families could share, plus a handle for the kid to help carry food to the theater, which was a win-win for a lot of families. I was good at selling them, and we even had small competitions for who could sell the most each night. Enter EM. ME. Hi, welcome to Theater's Name. What can I get you today? We have a special going on for our special Star Wars popcorn tub. Would you like one? EM. Give me minutes to look. EM was a large woman, her size taking up most of my area. She was maybe 5 foot in every direction. She was wearing a dress that was very tight, and leaving very little to the imagination. EM looked like a blob of jello wearing clothes. Her son, AK, was close behind her. He was a scrappy looking kid, his hair in every direction, and wearing a simple outfit. He looked scared being in such a large crowd, and initially he was clinging to his mother's fat hand for comfort. He couldn't have been more than 6 years old. EM has a very thick Russian/Ukrainian accent, and her English was a bit broken, but I could understand her enough to know what she would want. EM looked around the concession stand, while her son moved away from his mother, and was looking at the cart we had full of our candy. Note, at this time, we had an older broken Trolls tub in the back corner of the concession stand. It was sitting in a corner, away from the food and drinks, and it was full of bottles of cleaning products. It would be pulled out when we were done with this rush of people to clean up the concession stand. I want that. She then points with one of her fat fingers over my shoulder. She pointing to the troll's tub. Oh, I'm sorry mom. We can't sell you that one. It's old, and it's full of chemicals. You can clearly see the bottles sticking out of it. No. You will sell Emmy that troll bucket. I want IT for my son. He wants IT. Her son has never looked away from the candy carts, which is facing away from the concession stand, and isn't paying attention to us. Emmy, I don't think he's paying attention to us. If you want, I could get you a Star Wars tub. They're the same size, and it comes with our popcorn. No. I want troll tub. I want troll tub. She starts banging her fists on the glass counter and screaming at the top of her lungs like a toddler throwing a temper tantrum. At this point, the crowd of people has gone silent. You could hear a pin drop. The only sounds left were her screaming, and some popcorn popping behind me. I'm in shock. Why won't you give my son his fucking troll tub? He wants IT. You must hate my child. He good kid. You're evil. Fuck you. Emmy. Mom. I can't sell you that tub for several reasons. 1. It's old. 2. It's broken. 3. It's full of chemicals. And 4. There was bleach in that container. If I sold you that tub, it could cause you or your son to become really sick, or much worse, and I don't want to cause that. I'm trying to be calm and sensible this entire time, to no avail. I don't care what you have to fucking say. I want the troll tub. You will fucking sell IT to Emmy, or I'm calling the police because you're discriminating against Emmy. Racist bastard. Emmy. Mom. I can't say it. She cuts me off by screaming directly in my face. Spit and chunks of old food stuck in her teeth flying at me. I fear she's going to lose her voice from yelling so much. It's this high-pitched cry of rage and hormones that only an entitled mom could have. She's still banging her fists and feet. Her child has slowly slunk from the candy cart to her side, a look of shock and embarrassment across his blushing face. He looked up at me, mouthing the words "I'm sorry" to me. Emmy, may I take a look in the back room to see if we have any spare ones? Stops screaming, and looks smugly at me. She waves her hand at me, as if to shoo me away so I can look. I go behind the concession stand to look, genuinely wanting to find one, but mostly to clean myself up and calm down. At that time, my manager, M.A., comes into the room. She's heard the commotion, and several people have complained of the noise. My manager is not what you would expect a manager to look like. She has 2 sleeves of tattoos, several face piercings, several colors of dye in her hair, and is a force to be reckoned with when she gets angry. Think along the lines of an angry mama bear. She sees me standing there collecting myself. M.A., are you dealing with her? I nod, and I explain what's going on. She looks as shocked as I was when I first heard her request. She follows me back to my station. Emmy, I'm sorry mom. I couldn't find a troll's tub for you, but we still have our Star Wars tubs. They're exactly the same, except for the design. Goes, nuclear. If I thought the screaming was bad, I hadn't heard anything yet. How dare you fucking tell Emmy no? Do you know WHOIAM? My child deserves the world, and you are destroying his life. I will speak to your goddamn CEO so you'll be fired, and I'll call the police so you'll be arrested for discriminating. You're a racist piece of shit. At this time, my manager steps behind me, politely pulls me away from and steps in front of me in a protective way. She clears her throat. M.A., Mom, he has been more than kind with you. He's tried to offer you a good deal that will be safe for you two to use. He's told you why he can't sell you the tub, and he's even looked to see if we had a spare one in the back. You are causing a scene, and other people are wanting to enjoy the movie tonight as well. There are children around you. Please lower your voice, or I will be forced to have you removed. Turns purple with rage. WHO the fuck do you think you are, you punk piece of shit? How dare you speak to Emmy that way? You don't tell Emmy what to do. I'll have you arrested too, and banned from working forever. I have that kind of power. M.A., I'm the manager here. and I have every right to remove you from the building. Ever since this started, the 2 cops on duty at our theater were watching her like a hawk, waiting for her to do anything that would cause me or anyone else any harm so they could step in. They were locked onto her. After the EM and my manager talked for another 5 minutes, the EM screaming obscene and vulgar language at my manager, me, the company, and anyone who dared look at her, she finally starts to calm down. The kid is still beet red with embarrassment, and looks like he's trying to disappear into the ground. While my manager and EM are talking, I give him a free small slushie to help him feel better. After the 2 of them finish talking, the EM looks at me. EM, fine. 1 small popcorn and small Pepsi, you ungrateful piece of shit. She's shooting daggers at me the entire time. I get her 1 small popcorn and 1 small Pepsi, and I ring her up. ME, alright, that will be $12.45. EM starts to turn red again. Instead of paying for her food, she grabs the popcorn and drink, and storm off, her kid looking at the floor following behind her. She turns the corner, the cop's not even 10 feet behind her. I don't see what happens, but I hear a lot more screaming and cursing, along with the sounds of liquid hitting the ground, and a loud plop as if a body is hitting the ground. The screaming keeps going, calling the cops tons of racist names, screaming words like rape and pedophile, and the screaming starts to fade away. My manager pulls me aside after the round is over, and pulls me into the office. She wanted to report her to the entire company, and have her permanently banned from all of the other locations the company has. The next time you go to a theater and the staff tells you no, you should listen to them. You don't want to be like Troll Tub Lady. TL. DR. Entitled mother doesn't like that I won't sell her a bleach covered popcorn container. Proceeded to scream and threaten me and a manager, steal some popcorn and a drink, and was arrested and banned from the theater chain. Here are some links to the tubs in question. https://imga.com/a/you ever in Star Wars. https://imga.com/a/ectzmwu trolls. Thank you. Next. This story happened to me a few years ago when I worked at a bar and grill type place. Normally I worked as a hostess, but on this particular day the lunch server called out sick and my cousin, the manager/bartender on duty for the day, asked me to fill in for her shift. I agreed, even though I had other plans for the day and I had never served before. Boy did I come to regret that decision. The cast. Me, a young naive and broke 18 see my cousin, the manager/bartender EM, the entitled mother EK, entitled kid G, mother of EM, grandmother of EK, didn't really act entitled, and was mostly fine. The story. I was nearing the end of my shift when EM, EK, and G enter the restaurant. I sit them down, give them menus and go to take care of some of my other tables. EK doesn't even bother to sit down and starts running laps around the restaurant and kicking the quarter candy machines. I come back to the table of entitled people to get their drink orders. I can't remember what EM and G ordered, but EM ordered a root beer for EK, who still hadn't bothered to sit down. Any of the fountain sodas at this particular place are $2.75, pricey I know, but come with free unlimited refills. I give them their drinks and take their food orders. Over the entire course of the meal, EK maybe sat down for 5 minutes to eat 3 bites of his food and take 2 sips of his root beer. The entire time he was acting up, and he very nearly tripped me up when I was carrying heavy plates twice. She even asked EM to stop her child from running all over the place as he was disturbing other guests. Eventually they are finishing up their meal and are ready to pay the bill. I swing by the table and drop off their check and to-go boxes and head around the dining room to clear a few other tables and tidy up a bit. After about 5 minutes, I see that all the food at EM's table has been boxed but they aren't getting up to leave. I go back to their table to see what's up, expecting something like they want to pay with a card. Me, is there anything else I can help you with? EM, yes, I would like a to-go cup for my son's root beer. Me, I'm not sure if we have to-go cups. Let me check with the bartender. EM hands me the root beer and I go over to the bar to ask see if we have to-go cups. Me, hey, I know it's a long shot but do we have to-go cups? EM would like one for her son's root beer. C, no, we don't have to-go cups. What does she think this is, McDonald's? C then takes a plastic cup, think red Solo cup but clear plastic, no top or cover, and pours the root beer into that. C, here take this and tell her that we're sorry but we don't have to go cups and this is the best we can do. I go back over to EM and relay the above info. EM proceeds to lose her mind. EM, what do you mean you don't have to go cups? He drank only 3 sips and I am not paying $2.75 for this. I don't know what you expect me to do with this cup without a top. EM then proceeds to pour the root beer over my head. I'm standing in the middle of the dining room dripping wet and in disbelief that this actually just happened. Lucky for me, C witnessed the whole thing and jumped to defend me. C, are you serious lady? Leave now or I will call the cops. EM, this has been the worst service I have even experienced in my entire life. I will be leaving a phone call to your manager. C, jokes on you, I am the manager. All the entitled people stormed out, and C returned to the bar where she distributed to-go cups for all the regulars and friends at the bar. A nice couple who had witnessed the entire debacle also took pity on me and told me I didn't deserve that and tipped me very well. I never saw EK or EM ever again. Thank you. Next. So there's a bit of slightly important backstory. I am a 17-year-old transgender MTF. I pass quite well despite being pre-everything. If I don't speak I pass. I am 6 feet 6 and 17 stone but it doesn't show. I own 3 Switches and 3 3DSs, all of which are in pristine condition except the one 3DS I leave at home. So let's get to the story. The other day I decided I'd go out and meet a friend, play some Pokemon SW and generally have a fun time. Well, I got on my bus, went into town, met my friend, had a relatively fun time until we got into my old workplace, a McDonald's. My manager hooked me and my friend up with a free meal, perks of being family, and we went and sat down. Little did we know there was a demon spawn behind me. The story goes like this. Me, is me, my friend Eric, name changed up, M, entitled Mother D's, demon spawn, D's, mommy look, she has 2 Switchers. Yes, he said Switchers. EM, okay, and? D's, I want them. M, okay, I will get them for you but you have to ask nicely otherwise she will say no. D's to me, hi miss, can I please have your Switchers? Me to DS, gives a weird look. E, sorry kiddo but she bought them with her own money so she won't just give them away. D's, but my mommy told me I could have them if I ask nicely. Yes, he screamed this at the top of his lungs. My ears hurt for the next 20 seconds because of the volume this kid shouted. D's goes back to his table and cries to his mother. M comes over to me. M, hi, I told my son that he could have your Switches if he asked nicely. E, okay, they aren't yours to give away so go away. EM, I asked the girl not you. Me, listen lady, they are mine, and as my friend Eric said, no, I will not hand them over to you as I slaved away in this very building to earn them, so for the last time no, go away. At this point the M got enraged and tried to snag them away from me and my friend. A shouting match ensued which I will not attempt to put into transcript as it involved a lot of racism towards me and my friend. We are both Russian born and bred without the thick heavy accents. We ended up moving tables and I put the Switches away and pulled out the 3DSs so we could play Pokemon without her brat seeing it. They are smaller and easier to conceal. Oh boy, this didn't work at all. D's comes over and sees this, runs back to his mum and cries again. EM, I thought you left. Me, no, we moved away from you and your demon spawn. M, how dare you call my child a demon spawn? He is an angel and shall be treated as such. Now hand over those toys, you're way too old to have them. She screeched like the final boss of the level. Me, F off before I get the manager. M, completely forgetting I worked here. The manager is male. EM, I know the manager very well. I will get both your asses fired. She listens to me. Me, go ahead. At this point I had rung the manager and he came up the stairs and the M demanded we be banned for making her child upset. Now as the manager hadn't heard this, somehow he decided to take the adult side a tad more than ours. Now introducing innocent bystander, IB for short. IB, it's true she has harassed these kids and was also racist. M to M, Mom, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Effective immediately, you are banned from this McDonald's for being racist to customers. She started the whole corporate BS. My manager went back down the stairs and all was fine. I ended up having a chat with the innocent bystander and found out his kid loves Pokemon just as much as me. I'm posting this because I just got back from visiting his kid and gifting him one of my Switches with Pokemon Sword, my more worn 3DS. I have all my games dumped on there from the cartridges. TLDRM tried to take my Switches and 3DSs. I gave one of each to a very nice kid that actually deserved them. If you have any questions, just ask. Thank you. Next. Yes, a service pig. Backstory. My girlfriend has medium autism. The service pig helps her control it. Cust, EP, retarded bitch. EK, retarded sperm cell. GF, loving mate. ME, McDonald's employee. Ella, pig, and Simon, pig. Let's start. GF and me start walking down the hall of our apartment building. EP, oh nice pig you have there. EK, mommy, I want the pig. EP, okay honey. Reaches out for Ella. Me sees the EP reach for Simon. Simon, let her hold you. Ella obeys only me and GF. So when I say bacon, Simon and her go on rampages, goes on a rampage on the last person to touch her. GF, honey, why are you giving her Ella? Me, remember the thing we figured out? GF, yes. Me, Ella, bacon Ella, pig snort, bites EP hard. EP, what the F, your horse pig bit. Me, smacks GF. GF goes into a total meltdown, bursting tears Ella. Hoorays to GF to calm her. Me, owning a male mini pig as well, knows what a mini pig bite feels like. Luckily my apartment was right next to us. I opened the door to get my male pig named Simon. It'd hook his service vest to my belt loops, special hook I bought. And as soon I leave the room, I just do the least painful tug to Simon's tail to let him rage at the genitals. EK, cool, you got me a male one. Simon bites EK's ankle. EP grabs EK and legit pulls him through the whole hallway. End of the story. GF, Simon and Ella fell asleep on the couch while I told the apartment manager the story. Luckily the manager was a college friend. I paid some of his college debt. Since that he's gotten me a good apartment and being allowed to have any animal in my house except horses, goats, cows, donkeys, mules and cats. Me and GF went to her dad's farm with Ella and Simon and figured out we're having piglets. GF was so happy she bought 5 packs of carrots for them. Well, hope you enjoyed. Sorry about any typing issues. I have a small phone, feel free to ask questions. Posting update later.